अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी, हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you very much for coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam class today, first day of the year. So you're welcome. And before we start, I want to wish everyone a very, very happy Krishna conscious year ahead. And may Shri Gauranitai, Shri Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath bestow their profuse blessings on all of us so we can increase our service for their pleasure and for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. So while we get the system working, I just want to appreciate yesterday how devotees were chanting for so many hours, and you can feel the energy is so strong still in the temple room. And we can see even this morning how Nekatma Prabhu was doing such a surcharged kirtan. So in this way, this is the process for Krishna consciousness. We can easily become absorbed and forget whatever is causing disturbance to our minds. Okay. So this is the topic for today's verse. Chariot of the body and mind. People like to take rides, right? So this is the picture from Bhagavad Gita. I don't know how I can put it on the full screen. Okay. Figured it out. All right. So this is a painting from Bhagavad Gita. Many of us may know. Many of us may even know the verse it is coming from. So today's verse is from chapter 28, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 28, text 7. एतेर अन्यश्च पथिभिर मनोदुष्टम असत्पथम बुद्धया युञ्जिता सनकैर जित प्राणो हि अतन्द्रिता. एतेर अन्यश्च पथिभिर मनोदुष्टम असत्पथम बुद्धया युञ्जिता सनकैर जित प्राणो हि अतन्द्रिताः एतेरन्यैश्च पथिभिर् मनोदुष्टम् असत्पथम् बुद्धया युञ्जिता सनकैर् जित प्राणो हि अतन्द्रिताः. Please chant. एतैरन्यैश्च पथिभिर् बुद्ध्या युञ्जिता सनकैर् जित प्राणो हि अतन्द्रिताः एतैरन्यैश्च पथिभिर् मनोदुष्टम् बुद्ध्या युञ्जिता सनकैर् जित प्राणो हि अतन्द्रिताः. Mataji, please. एतैरन्यैश्च पथिभिर् मनोदुष्टम् असत्पथम् जित प्राणो हि अतन्द्रिताः. Synonyms. Etai, by these. Anyay, by other. Cha, and. Patibhihi, processes. Manaha, the mind. Dushtam, contaminated. Asat patham, on the path of material enjoyment. Buddhya, by the intelligence. Yunjita, one must control. Sanakaye, gradually. Jita pranaha, the life air being fixed. He, indeed. Atandritah, alert. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. By these processes or any other true process, one must control the contaminated, unbridled mind, which is always attracted by material enjoyment, and thus fix himself in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Etair anyaischa. The general yoga process entails observing the rules and regulations, practicing the different sitting postures, concentrating the mind on the vital circulation of the air, and then thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Vaikuntha pastimes. This is the general process of yoga. This same concentration can be achieved by other recommended processes, and therefore anyaischa, other methods, also can be applied. The essential point is that the mind, which is contaminated by material attraction, has to be bridled and concentrated on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It cannot be fixed on something void or impersonal. For this reason, so-called yoga practices of voidism and impersonalism are not recommended in any standard Yoga Shastra. The real yogi is the devotee because his mind is always concentrated on the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the topmost yoga system. That's the purport. I'll read the translation one more time. By these processes or any other true process, one must control the contaminated, unbridled mind, which is always attracted by material enjoyment, and thus fix himself in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity on the first day of the year to be speaking Srimad Bhagavatam in such an amazing gathering of the devotees. So this is a very nice verse, especially to meditate on the first day of the year, because many of us, we may have made so many resolutions for the new year, and it's a good verse to meditate on how we can work on those resolutions throughout the year to actually make them happen. Because many of us know that we make resolutions, but then maybe first week or first few days or maybe even first month or for some time we may keep to it, and then gradually we lose grip on it. So this is a verse which can help us understand how it happens and how to make those resolutions keep going consistently and achieve the goals we have decided for this year. So one of the points that comes from one of the purports in Bhagavad Gita is the mind, when it doesn't have a fixed goal, then it will be always easily disturbed and agitated. And I'm sure no one wants to have an agitated mind. No one wants to live with a disturbed and agitated mind. So some features of the mind we can discuss. This analogy is from Katha Upanishad of the chariot, and pretty much it's saying the individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. So actual topic for this talk is how to soothe the mind. Because as devotees, our minds also get agitated, our minds also get disturbed and even get distracted. We see, especially those devotees who have been here for many years, they have seen so many people come, they stay here for some time, and then suddenly they are gone. You don't see them ever again. So our mind can be disturbed and we can be distracted. But the best solution offered to soothe the mind, especially by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No matter how disturbed one's mind is, many of us we have experienced, once you sit in a good kirtan, your mind becomes very calm. So it talk about different processes. Many people, they do breath work. In the yogic term for that is pranayam. I see even some devotees, they practice it. It is good. It is good because it calms the mind. But it can only calm the mind for a short time. Therefore, like here Srila Prabhupada in this purport to Bhagavad Gita 634, he's giving this analogy of an acute infection. You see, when there is an acute infection, what happens? Sometimes even the medicines, they fail to work. The most expert doctors, they offer medicine, but even that fails to have any effect. So the infection is so strong. Like recently we went through COVID, and there was a full lockdown, and so many people lost their lives, so many people lost their relationships, so many people lost their jobs, like so many problems, just by one virus. We cannot even see that virus, but it created so much problem. So same way, our mind, we cannot really see the mind. Is there anyone here who can see the mind? It's a subtle sense we have. You can observe it, but you can't see it. So, how do we know the infection of the mind? How can we know how is our mind affected by some acute infection or not? Okay, we need a mic here. Where is the Bhakta mic? I heard one devotee said, where is Bhakta mic? I thought it's a good thing to say.
The translation that the symptom of the material contaminated mind is that it's always attracted for sense enjoyment. Right there in the translation of the verse today.
Thank you. So you see, Bhrigupati Prabhu is very alert. He's watching. Thank you. That's a good observation.
As a consequence, we're not peaceful, and therefore we're not happy.
Yes. Have you seen someone not happy? Because there is some disturbance in the mind that is bothering them constantly. And therefore, even though they are engaged in devotional service, but they are not happy. But you see, the process of bhakti yoga is ananda kanda. So one should be blissful if you are engaged in devotional service. But if we are not happy engaged in devotional service, means there is something going on. There is maybe we need to look at our approach to practice of bhakti. Why are we not happy practicing bhakti? Yes, any other guesses? Or anyone else wants to say something before we discuss a little more? So one of the main symptoms of disturbed, agitated mind is that they can easily get angry. We have a great example in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. Since it's talking about different processes, it's a very appropriate pastime to consider here. Ambarish Maharaj, he is a great king. He's actually emperor of the whole world in his time. And Durvasa Muni, he is a mystic yogi. He is absorbed in meditation for thousands of years. And he got upset over something simple. So that's how you see, especially in Kali Yuga, it says over trifles, people will get into big fights. Over small things, that's the symptom of agitated mind. You just say a little bit and the person is like a raging snake about to devour you. I don't know if anyone of you have seen such persons, but sometimes we get to meet some great personalities like that out in the world there when we are trying to share some Krishna conscious literature. And sometimes even we become like that, influenced by the three modes of nature. So, it is, even Krishna admits this actually. When Arjuna tells Krishna that the mind, he gives the features of the mind. I have them listed somewhere here. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, here. So these are the features that Arjuna lists about the nature of mind. He says, Chanchalam, mind is very flickering. It's never stable. Parmati means it gets agitated very easily. Balavat, it's strong. Actually, Arjuna says, mind is so strong, it is even difficult, more difficult than controlling the raging wind. We can understand it's very hard to control the wind. How much more harder is to control the mind then. And then Dridham, it's very obstinate. That's why we are discussing this analogy of an acute infection. So we should not take it lightly. It's a very serious subject. And we are living with the mind all the time. And if our mind is not absorbed in Krishna, then what's the other option? Thank you. That's the other option. So we are always making a choice actually. We are exercising our choice muscles. We can exercise it to choose Krishna, or we can exercise it to choose to serve Maya or illusion. So that's the main essential point. But then Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he gives a very easy and very effective, the best way to soothe the mind. Let's see what he says. I think I got a few lines. Yes, here. Best solution to soothe the mind is chant Hare Krishna. This is what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. Krishna also gives his solution to Arjuna. That's Krishna's solution. He says, Abhyas yogena yuktena vairagyena cha grahiyate. Abhyasena. What's abhyas? Abhyas means practice. People go out to the gym to work out. That's abhyas, to have good health. So this is abhyas. Bhakti yoga is abhyas to become a pure devotee. Devotee fixed in absorption on Krishna. That is samadhi. In the previous verse, I am sure Shama Priya Mata yesterday she spoke about samadhi. I wasn't here, but it said about samadhi. And so here, abhyas is suitable practice and vairagyana is detachment. So what is the suitable practice? Hear about Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, and take Krishna Prasad. These are three basic. We know there are 9 devotional practices, but these are 3 things that are easy to do. Even if someone cannot chant Hare Krishna, even if someone cannot hear, but everyone likes to eat, so people can at least take prasad. That's the easiest way to do. So Krishna has made it so easy. At least come and take prasad, and that will help you control the mind. It's an easy way. And then he says, relating to the other processes, in the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. But by the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotion service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. What's that verse? Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So Uttama Bhakti, that's the definition for Uttama Bhakti. We should take anything that is favorable to increase pleasure of Krishna. Anything that is unfavorable, we should reject. That's the real Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to activities of Krishna. Pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. Everyone wants to be satisfied, but we have tried engaging in material activities. One can have no satisfaction. I heard in one lecture, my spiritual master, he was quoting one song, I get no satisfaction. I think there is a popular song like that. I don't know this music so much, but I remember this from the lecture, and the way he was saying, he get very animated, and he goes, I get no satisfaction. I was like, that's the song. So we see even great materially very popular and well-established people, they accept this fact that no matter how much I try, I cannot be satisfied. But here, Srila Prabhupada is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, spiritual satisfaction can be experienced by engaging in devotional service in Bhakti Yoga. How? He gives this example of eating. Everyone has experienced eating, especially devotees. They take prasad with great pleasure. What happens? With each bite, three things happen simultaneously. Our hunger is being satiated. We are getting nourishment. So this everyone can experience. Even a person who has no awareness of any spiritual practices. We have seen that ourselves when some new people come, they come for Sunday feast or any day they come and take some prasad. They have so much appreciation. Wow, what is in this food? Some people who know about Hare Krishna, I've heard my guru say it number of times, because he does these outreach programs at the yoga centers. And there, all these new people who maybe they are interested in yoga or some new age spirituality, they come and they say, wow, your food is so good. What do you put in this? That mantra, Hare Krishna? Is that the secret of this food? So many people talk like that, and that's true. Like Krishna is giving them some realization. But if they just take prasad and they don't associate with devotees, they don't chant Hare Krishna, then their realization is very weak at this stage and they can be distracted again. Therefore, we have to be engaged in all these 9 processes of devotional service, and then we can experience this. People want to have experience. They don't just want to believe. Just believe in this. No, most of us, everyone wants to have an experience, a good experience. That's why you see there are so many big events organized. People invest so much money, time, energy, and still not everyone comes out satisfied. I hear about our Bhagavad Gita museum, and even I was discussing something with Savas Prabhu, and even he was saying that when people are going through the Bhagavad Gita museum, the devotees who are doing service there, you can ask them, many of them, they come out with tears in their eyes. They are crying. They are not crying because they are sad or depressed. They are crying to have such an amazing experience. And they are actually regretting, where have I been all this time? I have been living in this city for long. I could have experienced this long time ago. But you see, not everyone gets access so easily to Krishna. Krishna, he reserves the right to reveal himself. He reveals himself to the devotee, pure devotee, and they can reveal it to others, even to those who are not at all qualified. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. We can take this example of Srila Prabhupada. You see, talking about challenges, difficulties in following to our resolutions. We see Srila Prabhupada, if those who have read Prabhupada Lilamrita, for the first year when Srila Prabhupada came to America, he had no acquaintances, no money, or maybe like a few, worth of few dollars. How long could that last? But what he had was 200 copies of the first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. And just distributing that for 1 year, that's how he passed 1 year. No help. He was in New York, very cold. And he is like 70 years old at this time. Imagine, like you going to New York in winter time, you have no money, you don't know anyone. How are you going to survive? Or maybe, let's say, we will give you 200 copies of Bhagavatam, first canto. Can you survive? No. But he did it. So, it wasn't easy for him also. Actually, I was reading something and it said that successful people, they don't become successful because everything comes easy for them. They become successful because they learn how to deal with challenges, how to deal with difficulties that come in our journey. And we can take unlimited number of examples, but I would take example of Srila Prabhupada because that's the closest example I can relate to. So, Srila Prabhupada, he struggled for 1 year. Often he would go back to the office of Scindia Shipping Company and ask them, hey, when is your next ship going back to India? And one day the receptionist asked him, Swamiji, you come here every now and then and you ask when is the next ship going, but you never go back. And Srila Prabhupada was like, I cannot, because that's the order of my guru. I have to share this message. I cannot go back. I want to because I'm struggling. I'm not happy. I'm really struggling hard here and I don't see any hope. But still I cannot go back. So there is difficulty. It's not easy. Material world is not an easy place. Lord Krishna, he tells Uddhava that do not hang around here for too long. Go to Badrikashram and associate with devotees, engage in devotional service, and always think of me. In that way, you can come back to me. Otherwise, you will be absorbed in illusion, in Maya. Uddhava, we can see such a great devotee, just by hearing name of Krishna, he goes to trance. He goes in samadhi, just remembering his exchanges, loving exchanges with Krishna. Even to him, Krishna is saying, this world is not for you. Be careful, be alert, be cautious, and stick to the suitable practice. So we should, as devotees, we should understand what we have is very valuable, but often, due to influence of the modes, we take it very lightly. And that's when we are opening ourselves to be swayed by influence of Maya. Because we are taking Krishna lightly, means we are saying, oh Krishna, you are good, but I have so many other things to do. You are great, it's nice to hang out with you, but I know so many other people, so I also need to make time for them. So we should understand the jewel that we have with us, the diamond that we have been given, but like a child, we don't see much value in it. Therefore, we have to educate ourselves, especially in this part of the Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev. He is describing the nature, material nature, and how it works. So if we don't understand that, then we will be influenced by it. Just like taking example of the COVID virus. If you don't know and you go to affected place, what will happen? You may say, I don't know, but you will get affected if you are not taking precaution. So same way, we have to follow the practice, we have to take the precaution, we have to take the best medicine, we have to take prasad, Krishna prasad, that's the best diet. And then we can easily remain absorbed and we can experience spiritual satisfaction that we desire. So these were some of the things I had listed related to this verse. I'm sure there's so much more to say, but it's already time. I will stop here. But anyone would like to share some personal experience on these points or some comment or question, we can do that. Archita Prabhu.
Thank you for a nice class, dear Lalita Prabhu. You mentioned Amarish and Durvasa, and you said that Durvasa became angry at him, just a trifle.
Yes.
But the anger was fueled because of envy. His
Yes,
anger was
thank you.
fueled because of envy. He was envious of Amarish Maharaj. Who is this guy? He's just a king, because the yogis think they're bigger than kings. This king, everybody's glorifying him, and I'm a big yogi, and I don't get the same glorification. He was envious. And that's why he became angry just at a trifle and displayed his anger to bring this king down to, So
Thank you.
we have to be careful of that.
Yes.
Even living in a devotee community, if we're not on the highest platform, obviously, it becomes easy to become envious of somebody else. Look at him, just because he distributes a few more books than me, he gets more glorification, or look
Yes.
at her, or look at this one. So we have to stop that. Everybody needs to be satisfied with whatever level of energy Krishna has given you, whatever energy of ability Krishna has given you, whatever results Krishna give you. You have to be basically satisfied. Doesn't mean you can't strive for more, but not in a mood of being envious of other devotees. Srila Prabhupada is very, very strong against that.
Thank you. Would you be kind enough to share some way if you feel you have some envious feeling against someone, how you deal with it?
By giving credit to Krishna for everything.
Thank you.
One time one devotee said to Prabhupada, he had made some mistake, and serious mistake, and he said, "Oh, Krishna's mercy." Prabhupada said, "No, it's your foolishness." So when you make a mistake, take the responsibility. When something good happens, give Krishna the credit. No, but we tend to do the opposite. When I do something good, I just look at me. I made such great decisions. And when something bad happens, Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada said, no, look at it the other way around.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a very important point actually. I thank Archita Prabhu for bringing it up, because that was the main point of this topic. To become envious. Because this is actually, we are not being envious of other person. This is actually envy of Krishna. And it comes because we have impersonal tendencies. So whenever we are feeling some envy against someone, we should remember, it's not against that person. We are expressing our envy against Krishna. Krishna, how are you the supreme enjoyer? I am the supreme enjoyer. I should get the credit. I should enjoy, not you. So that's the bottom line of this envy factor. And one way I heard how we can deal with it is, whoever we are experiencing envy against, like Archita Prabhu said, it's because maybe they are doing something better than us. So the easiest way to deal with this is go to that devotee and say, I feel so envious, you are doing so good. I wish I could do something good like you. That will inspire that devotee, and it will reduce that friction you have between two of you. So that's another practical way we can deal with envy. Also, if we have envy, that's one quality that Krishna never accepts. If we are envious, no matter how much service we are doing, we cannot go back to Godhead, because Krishna will not allow the entrance. So that's one big thing. Even with lust, you can be excused a little bit, but not with envy. Nekatma Prabhu. I can give one example why he gets the mic. So in Ramayana, we see the example of Bali and Sugriva. They were two brothers, but Sugriva is a devotee and Bali was a demon. Lord Ram personally helped Sugriva to kill Bali, and he even used, according to the war codes. He even used like inappropriate means to kill him. But Sugriva, he was doing the same mistake that Bali was doing and for which Bali was killed. But Lord Ramachandra, he didn't say anything to Sugriva. He actually told Lakshmana that go and say something to this guy. He personally didn't even say, like, it was something to deal with. He wasn't dealing appropriately with. So Bali, he was dealing inappropriately with wife of Sugriva. And that's why Bali was killed. But after Bali was killed, Sugriva was made the king. And then he was dealing inappropriately with the wife of Bali. But Lord Ramachandra didn't kill Sugriva. He told Lakshmana, go and say something to him. This doesn't look nice on him. He's my devotee. So you can see, Lord Ramachandra excused Sugriva for being lusty for his brother's wife, but he killed Bali for doing the same thing. So, but envy, there is no excuse for envy. Of course, we shouldn't take this pastime and think, oh, I can be lusty and be excused. That's not the point of this. We should understand the lesson that pastime has to give. Nekatma Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a wonderful class. Just to continue with that point you made about envy of Krishna, when in Narada's instructions to Yudhisthira, he instructed him that to get free from envy, one should offer service to that personality.
Yes.
And that's the process of bhakti. Because we're envious of Krishna, when we engage in bhakti yoga, we're rendering service to Krishna and we're becoming free from envy. So, just to continue with that one comment that you made, again, that if we have some problem with an individual because of envy, then the best remedy is to offer service to that person.
Thank you. That's a very nice point also, practical point we can do. That reminds me of one pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We know Gadadhar and what's his name? Pundarik? No, not Pundarik Vidyanidhi. The one he took initiation from. Okay, yeah, so Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he was living very opulently. He even has like wine in his house. So Gadadhar, he's like, so close to Lord Chaitanya, always absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam and, one devotee, what's his name? So Mukunda Datta, he one time took Gadadhar to house of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And there Pundarik Vidyanidhi is living like a king. He has all kinds of, special wines in his house. He has a bar in his house actually. And Gadadhar, he's asking Mukunda Datta, hey, whose house you brought me to? I don't go to places like this. So he got a little offended, thinking that this guy is a materialist, I come to his house. But Pundarik Vidyanidhi is such a great devotee. He's actually, who is he in Krishna Leela? Radharani's father, yes, thank you. So, he's Radharani's father, and here is Gadadhar, expansion of Radharani, and he's thinking this guy is a materialist. So, externally, this is another mistake many times we make, is when we are seeing the devotees through our material vision, then we see them as ordinary person. But you see, when we come as new, everyone looks like a Mahabhagavat. You have so much respect for every devotee. But as soon as you get to know them, okay, I know he's not a Mahabhagavat. I know how good he is. What are the things he is not doing right and what are the things he is doing right. So, and then we start to see them materially, even to our spiritual master. That's even like a more worse. We start to see our spiritual master as an ordinary person, like a materialist. So Gadadhar Pandit, he is showing here, you can make a mistake like this. And then what it leads to, so many offenses, and you fall down, you get distracted. That's how distraction happens. And but what did Gadadhar Pandit do? He realized, Mukunda Datta told him what kind of person he is. Don't look at his bar. Do you know how he is absorbed in thinking of Krishna? He may have a bar or whatever, but his absorption on Krishna is very special. And so Gadadhar Pandit realized that he made a big mistake He was seeing a great devotee with his material vision. He's imposing material thinking on this devotee. And then you start finding faults in the devotees. But we should be learning. Actually, we should have a mentality like a honeybee. A honeybee goes to different flowers and sucks the honey. So we should be like a honeybee. We should see good in others. A devotee actually doesn't see fault in others. A real devotee, they see faults in themselves and tries to improve on them, not in others. Especially when we don't even have like any authority to correct someone, we shouldn't take this service unnecessarily. It's actually a very difficult service to do, to correct someone. And if we are not authorized, we shouldn't be the in charge and, try to be the boss and try to correct the person, because they may not even receive it properly. So therefore, we should try, we should understand. And but from Gadadhar Pandit, we can learn what did he do. He actually went, asked for forgiveness, and he begged Pundarik Vidyanidhi to accept him as his disciple, so he can learn how to be a pure devotee, how to be a proper devotee from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Of course, we cannot go and ask every devotee we may have made offense against to come and initiate us. But the point is, we can go and beg for forgiveness, appreciate them for whatever they are doing good at. And like Nekatma Prabhu said, we can even offer service. Because when we offer service, anyone you offer to service to, they become pleased. The simplest service to offer is, you can just offer obeisances. If there is nothing else you can offer, at least offer obeisances and say, I'm sorry, I offended you, I felt envious of you because you distributed more books than me, or you ate more prasad than me, or you had more pizza than me. So whatever the thing is, you can say that, express it. What will happen? Your heart will become light. You are free from all this tension you are holding in your mind, in your heart. And the other devotee will become relaxed, will become pleased, and you will have a nice exchange. Next time he will see you, he will smile at you. So, do you want the devotees to smile at you when they see you? Or do you want them to turn around and go the other route? You can make a choice. Okay, I think this is a good time. I'm sure everyone is waiting to get some prasad. It's the first day of the year, so please, let's be together and think of these points and try to do more service this year. And please, Srila Prabhupada, Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What time? Okay, Hare Krishna.